Hi guys, today we are talking about the 11th book in our 66 books of the Bible synopsis, and the 11th book is First Kings. First Kings is broken up, well, the book of Kings is broken up into two parts. It's said that the story was too long to fit on one scroll, so they broke it up so they can fit on more than one scroll. So that's how we get First Kings and Second Kings, but it's a continuation. Actually, all of it is really a continuation from First and Second Samuel, where we see the rise of Israel, its decline and its fall, and we'll see as you read more of this going on in First Kings and Second Kings. First Kings is it's at the end of King David's life. King David has a son, Solomon, who is probably the wisest man in the Bible. God came to Solomon in a dream and asked him what it is that he wanted, that he would give it to him, and he asked for wisdom. So God granted Solomon wisdom. But, of course, like all of the kings of Israel, majority of them, Solomon had a fleshy flaw, and that was his weakness for foreign women. Solomon had over 700 wives, and if you know the story of Solomon, you know that one of his wives, his last wife, was his downfall. You got to read the story. I'm not even going to tell you what happened. If you want to know, you got to read it yourself, because that's what the point of all this is, though. But also what happens in the books of Kings, and I'll mention two next synopsis, but we're just talking about one. But Israel is divided up into southern and northern. And let's see, in the southern part of let me just make sure I got it right before I tell you. I believe that the south was Judah, and the north was still called Israel. The southern line was through Solomon's line. But then when Solomon died, his son Rehoboam takes over. And basically, you have bad kings and bad leaders. They all fall into worshiping idols and things like that. And then, but you do have a couple of kings that were faithful to God still in Judah. Not in Israel, in Judah. But outside of that, all of Israel and all of Judah, which was the Israel tribe, the Israel people, broke it up, and they all fell into the sin of worshiping idols. Even though God had done, like he always does, so much and approved so much and have protected them and have continually blessed them, they still fall into idol worship. This is also around the time when Elijah is present, and he confronts King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. I'm not going to tell you what happened with Elijah, but he ends up defeating 450 false prophets, and with this contest that he came up with, because they were, one of the idols that they worshipped was Baal, and basically Elijah said, "Look, let's have a contest. we're going to ask our God to burn. What was it that they were burning? There was something that they were burning. And basically he was saying that you ask your God to burn it, I ask my God to burn it, and whoever's God comes through is the true God. And of course, God came through, and that was the end of that. So anyway, some quotes from 1 Kings. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their hearts back again. That is 1 Kings 18 verse 37. 1 Kings 2 verses 1 through 2. David drew nigh to his that he should die. David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth, but thou strong, therefore, be thou strong, therefore, and shew thyself a man. And last, 1 Kings 3, verse 9. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, and I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? So basically, Solomon's example basically provides a strong warning that even the most blessed people can drift far from God and make big mistakes. And he did make big mistakes, as did all the kings basically that have ever lived and that ever been raised up to rule over the Israelites and the Jewish people, and they never failed to fall into idol worship, and they fall. So, alright guys, I hope that wasn't too choppy for you. If you have any questions, need any clarifications, just put a comment below, and go ahead, let's dive in. Read this book, and join me next week when we jump into 2 Kings and finish up the story. Basically the books of the kings. Have a blessed day, and I pray that God will be with you, that God will give you discernment, that he will open your eyes and he would open your hearts, and that he will give you a deeper understanding of who he is and what his will is from you through submerging yourself in his word. I hope you guys have been reading these stories and trying to keep up, because this story is just really interesting. A lot of interesting details